I am back from the Williamson County Commissioner's Court, and it's going like it has been, falling on deaf ears. I didn't do the little speech deal. You'll see what I did actually say. And the main reason I am showing what I said at Commissioner's Court is so no one says, oh, well, you're a coward, you're just saying this on YouTube. Anybody can say anything on the internet. It's one thing to say it in person. So yes, if you look at their agenda for December 5th, yes, today, December 5th, construction on, I don't know, Adrenaline doesn't cover it. It's crazy how much construction they're putting up there, extending roads, bridges, that only suits certain companies. At the end of this, you're going to see all the times I've went up and talked in front of Commissioner's Court. I was able to finally download those. I can't guarantee every time I'll be able to do that, but it'll be from October 13th. It'll be in the title, but it's like from October 13th or so all the way to today, December 5th. They're not going to have another one until January 3rd, and that agenda looks just as good as this one. It's like, oh, let's do construction. I gave them another option to help get Williamson County out of debt, because my previous officer was revoked. They probably don't want Williamson County out of complete debt, but some would be nice. So I'm offering up my idea to help feed veterans. It was a little bit hard today because there was a guy that went up there, did a little God deal, talked about that, and it was like, well, now I'm just taking from him. But the judge seemed surprised when I told him the local city, just right down the road, blatantly talks about anybody can be bought. It's that level of corruption, at least in the local city. At least in the local city, they're so corrupt and comfortable with it that they'll talk about it out in the open. So yeah, today, if that's what you want to see, is at the tail end of this. I say work your way back. I don't know how long it's going to be, but that's why this one's so long, 30-40 minutes or so. Alright, hopefully it doesn't take me too long to compile everything together. Thanks for watching. Oh, if you want a video done, have your say, even if it takes an hour, I'll put it up on YouTube. I'll tell in mind, I'll make your own little video, I'll put it so it's all on the same page. I'm not saying you have to do that. You have your own little channel, of course, but I'm thinking, if it pertains to Williamson County, Texas, and you can keep it under 3 minutes, I could see if I could play the video, because I understand people have jobs. Can't be there at 9:30 to who knows when to talk. I mean, jobs. You don't have a job, you're definitely not going to have property, let alone them taking it from you. So if you can keep it under 3 minutes, I'm thinking, I'm not guaranteeing, it's a current thought, I'll play it. And now I guess you can't use that little laptop that they have right there, but I know somebody with one of those little projection things for the phone. I don't know if it'll work with this phone. I don't know if I'll have to steal their phone to play it, but I can just play that right on the wall, and not much they can do about that. As always, thanks for watching. Hopefully you join, and take part in protecting our land. In transmission. Addendum. They haven't posted, or they're not going to post December 5th today. Granted, they essentially just stopped. So I'll post that separate due to time, my impatience. What I did say to them was, let me see if I can get some specifics. I said, because no one asked any questions, I assume everybody understands that when I say this is worse than going to war for me, everybody understands. They somehow comprehend that, even though I know at least one of them, there's no possible way they were in any type of war zone of any kind. I believe I also mentioned, I'm not saying that as in, hey, look at me because I was a soldier. Look at me because I was a combat soldier and all that other stuff. I'm saying that as to emphasize on, like, wow, if it's this bad, I mean, I still haven't told them into their face. I don't know if I am. I mean, there's just so much to go over in only 3 minutes to do it. And even if I machine gun the words out, talk a million miles a minute, 3 minutes is not enough. I will always be behind the 8 ball, because by the time I talk about what was on the last agenda, they got the new agenda stuff out, and I got talk about that, and it's just nuts. I mean, if someone has a suggestion how to manage that, by all means, it'll be well considered. Like I said in the part you just saw, local cities is so corrupt. They blatantly talk about it. And the judge seems surprised. I'm pretty sure I talked about, say offered food veterans. All right. So, there's a guy that talked about it before. I don't like the way he said it. And I felt I wasn't going to say anything about it. But I had the time. So I mentioned, you guys pray to God, you thank Him for everything, and yet you destroy His one-time gift of this land. I mean, there's not going to be more. There's no room for more land. I mean, what we had at the beginning of, whether it's millions of years ago, or a few thousand years ago. I'm not here for that argument. Regardless, the land was here, it was a gift to us, and they're destroying it. I mean, if anything, they should ask for forgiveness. But that's on them. That free will. I also wanted, I don't know if I'm going to get to it, like I said, behind the 8 ball all the time. At the same time they exercise their free will, they're taking away a citizen's free will. It's, alright, you're paying for this land, you're paying the taxes, you're paying all that stuff, but yet they're taking the free will of having that land, and with those paid for, and doing whatever they want with it. I mean, and so no one's going to watch this. They talk about the future. Do they not? They have to realize that, fine, you don't care about, you're making this choice for you, you're making this choice for your kids, some of them grandkids, what about your great-grandkids, and so on. The more people packed in, the more chance, what are the odds that their entire family line will not be in a fatal car wreck? I can't imagine the odds. There's likely it's going to happen. Whether they're going to be alive to see it or not, I don't know. And then, not to mention the smog. This literally happened all over the world. Again, L.A. It's... Do you want your great-grandkids or your kids at all to breathe in that smog? I guess so. I didn't tell him that. Back to what I was saying. That I didn't tell it to him face. I don't know if I'll get to it. They make me regret thinking this country was worth protecting and its citizens saving. I won't make that mistake twice, thanks to their actions. They're talking about behind closed doors, taking other people's property, not just mine. Just because they're taking non-veterans, non-military, former military people, land doesn't make it any better. It's more of like you already stuck them. Now you're just twisting the knife. Well, when you're taking a veteran's land, it's no better. I don't think it's any better. It's just that much more sad that it's happening. But yeah, actions like this, it's happening to the city I'm in, it's happening to the city I'm next to, I know it's happening to a couple cities over, and it's happening to the county, and if it's happened to this county, it's happened to a lot of them, that, you're doing this to citizens? This is not why I protected this country. I was willing to lay down my life for $400,000 for this to happen. This is not, I wouldn't have come back home if I knew this was what was going to happen. People want the city, great. That is your choice. Go live in the city. Don't take away from somebody else. Because they want to breathe air, not smog. Because they want to see the stars in the farmland when everything's growing. Don't take away. You want the city, great. It's your choice. But it's not mine. It's not a lot of people's. There's a lot of people not saying anything. A lot of them don't even know it's happening, about to happen to their own property. But, here I'm going on, a rant, which there's a fine line. And maybe if I went to some college or took a course in speech, I would find better words. Again, I'm thinking, I could use all sorts of big words. I could figure it out. Maybe. Probably not, but maybe. I could figure out, use big words that sum up an entire sentence worth of stuff in a couple seconds. But it's also, I want to talk so everybody understands. If it's a word you haven't heard before, but then you're thinking, oh, well, I haven't heard that word in forever. There's such a fine line, and always falling on deaf ears. Again, suggestions, this is my message to the future. We weren't all here to destroy the land. So, we're in like the movie Judge Dredd or Dredd. Well, it's a comic book, more of like a magazine. Anyway, we're living in, 1,200 acre buildings that go well over 100 floors. Not to be all doomsday apocalypse, but that's when they're performing terrain denial on citizens. That's where we're headed. Because eventually, most people are going to be in housings where they're lucky to have a quarter acre, and then go, well, if we take a few hundred people's quarter acre, we have 25 acres, and we could put something there. So we're going to pack them all in by taking their land, and then it's just a constant, it's like a kid cleaning a room. Just, all right, here's the pile of junk. I'm just going to keep pushing all the stuff to the pile of junk. Did that too as a kid. Just push it all in the corner. I still do that on my laptop. You know, thinking, well, I kind of still want this stuff. I'm not going to get rid of it, so I'm just going to put it all in one file till it becomes a problem. Then I'll dread sorting it out. You know, they're doing the same thing because they believe they have protection. Read Behold a Pale Horse by William Cooper. They don't have half the protection they think they're going to have. They're being used. You know, even they think they're just mouthpieces, they're puppets. I was thinking today, you know, let's really say, if this is all they're going to do is talk about what companies want, that only care about money, or at least let's hope it's something like that. They only care about money. They at least don't care about citizens. Let's just replace them with a computer. All right, this is a decision the companies have made here, and then put a brick wall in there where you got the little podium, just a brick wall, and the person standing there is a field of view, so they can just talk to the brick wall. It'll be the same result, but a whole lot cheaper on taxpayers. In fact, you could run it all day. Here's a brick wall. Go talk to it. You know. I guess that's it. Yeah. I'm going to go check to see if they posted the little video for today. If not, I'll post it some other time. I don't know when.
All right, at 9:34, I declare this meeting of Commissioners Court duly open for the transaction of business on this 17th day of October 2017.
A little bit of city encroachment and roads. I'll start with the roads. The problem with the roads is we pretty much just completed Ronald Reagan, but a block over, not even that, probably a mile or so, there's County Road 310, and that literally gets worse every day. And I'm pretty sure it's not the only road in Williamson County that happens to. You know, drive too fast, you're going to most likely veer off into someone's house or into a fence. I guess that closes on roads, so something needs to be done on those. And the main topic is city encroachment onto the farmland. I went to a local city council meeting, and they told me it was the Williamson County issue. So here I am today. Yeah. All food except for fishing starts on farms, be it food for another animal that people are going to eat or directly for human consumption once it's all processed. Without farms like I live on and near, it's basically handing everything over to mega farms like Monsanto. I know there's others, but once they gain control of most of the United States food source, who's going to say what they do or don't do with their food? That we're going to only have the option to eat. I understand farmers are aging. You know, they can only do it for so long. Mr. Meisner recently had a really bad farming accident and can no longer currently farm our land. So accidents as well are a chance. My idea for that immediate solution is nonviolent crime criminals. Somebody watches them, they'll be teaching them a very decent trade that will not go out of style anytime soon. I personally wouldn't have a problem if somebody's watching them until they're done with their little probation to farm our property. I'm not asking for somebody to farm our property right now. I'm just saying I personally wouldn't have a problem with it. I don't like bringing this stuff up, but I went to war. I have very little problem with that, with anything that happened over there. But what does keep me up at night is, as far as I can tell, the needless construction. Recently on, I believe it was 29, some savings and loan places going up there, there was a tree there that I'm pretty sure, due to the size of it, had to be the size, almost, if not older. Is that my alarm?
Your time's up, yes.
All right.
Thank you for being here. In
Agent City. Thank
the
you.
one thing I forgot to say when you came up there is the rules are we cannot interact with you today, so I can't answer some of your questions, but we'll be glad for you to come by and talk sometime, and I'll try to fill you in on where we are. with that.
All our offices.
All right, so is there, I don't mean to use somebody else's time, but is there a proper time?
You can
No, just call.
and we'll set them up.
Just call.
Rachel can give
Yeah.
you.
She
She'll-
works in my office,
she'll-
and
she'll
if you
give you some-
live in Georgetown,
some phone
visit
numbers
with
and-
Rachel.
Well,
Okay, and we'll get
Thank
something
you so
on
much.
this.
Right.
You bet.
Widening Sandbass Road to 5 lanes is a horrible idea and makes no sense. To change a 2-lane, winding, hilly road with approximately 30 private driveways in just 2.4 miles and convert it into a 5-lane thoroughfare is unprecedented, and there's a reason for that, because it would be incredibly dangerous and irresponsible. With a 5-lane thoroughfare comes increased speed limits, loss of heritage trees, heavier commercial vehicles, more traffic noise, and a much higher probability of fatal collisions and collisions with wildlife, particularly with the deer in this area, and sadly, the occasional loose pet too, because it will take far longer for them to cross the road, while at the same time, the traffic will move much faster. That's a recipe for disaster. This is a rural community with school buses stopping at the ends of some of these driveways, not simply a road with subdivisions branching off of it. The Sandbass community is also home to a few churches, including Round Rock Presbyterian Church with a 300-plus member congregation, which does so much for our community. It's a place for voting, hosts HOA, Al-Anon, AA, and Cocaine Anonymous meetings, ESL classes, Boy and Girl Scout troops, and about 500 people at their annual Fall Fest and Summer Splash. It's the heart of our community, and its very existence is threatened by this project. Can the mobility and safety for this road be improved? Sure, and it doesn't need much. The cost would be extremely modest. These simple solutions would save Williamson County taxpayers millions of dollars, and that's a good thing since Wilco is $1 billion in debt. It's #1 in the entire state of Texas when it comes to debt. Texas, bigger than France. Per the public open house meeting, the vast majority of comments stated that all you have to do is 1, lower the speed limit to 35, 2, at the northbound intersection of Sandbass and 1431, change the middle lane into a dedicated left turn lane and or extend the duration of the left turn signal 2x during peak hours. 3, add a stoplight at Great Oaks that reverts to a flashing red light for all directions during peak hours. And that's it. Even if you disagree that these incredibly modest changes are all that's needed, why not try them first anyway, since they cost virtually nothing? Why not see how much of an impact these changes would have? This would also allow you to keep some of the country in Texas Hill Country. Wouldn't that be refreshing or not? Because the long-range transportation plan indicates that by about 2040, Wilco will be blanketed by a veritable waffle cone of tightly gridded arterials and toll roads running in all directions, easing any future traffic flow on this road anyway, allowing the alleged significantly increased population a bevy of choices to choose from no matter what direction they head. Either way, widening Sandbass Road to 5 lanes is simply not necessary, period. And how exactly do you improve the safety of this road by converting it into a 5-lane thoroughfare? How? You can't, not with nearly 30 private driveways. Sincerely, the Sandbass 76ers and Friends, 225-plus members strong.
You did well.
Getting that
Copy of that, hand that to Mr. Matson if you would. Yeah, thank you, ma'am.
In 79, sixth-generation Texan, retired Navy captain. Every diamond has its facets, and quite often when we look at the facets more closely, they reveal many flaws. Last week, Commissioners Court put on a large production about Judge of the Year, Justice of the Peace Bill Gravel. I first met Bill in 2012 when he was a campaign manager for Judge's race. I was supporting a candidate in a congressional race. We had something in common then. There was a person stealing and destroying signs. He actually caught this person in the act. I told him I would engage in the prosecution when the campaign was done, but he never pursued it. He later came to our group's Saturday morning group asking for support to be appointed to the vacated JP3 position. We supported him, and I had a conversation with you, Judge Gaddis, in support of this appointment. As JP3 early on, he touted how he had one of the busiest courtrooms in Texas. After I announced running for sheriff, he stated in a Republican meeting in Bartlett how great the sheriff was. While block walking, I found out that salutations being written in other precincts were being sent to Precinct 3 for adjudication. During that election cycle, he moderated some forums. Beforehand, he would get everyone together and explain how the game was played. When the governor sent DPS officers to the border to help with the crisis, Bill made a trip down there. To check on security? No. DPS assets were gone from Williamson County, and JP3 Court was losing revenue because citations weren't being written. Last week, it was noted as being selected JP of the Year, his contribution to the legislative actions in Austin. A number of those actions were bills significantly increasing the fees charged by JP courts. This will result in increased taxes on small business so JPs can have more revenue for their agendas. Bill for some time now has been in full swing on his next election. The message is elect Judge Gravel, not re-elect JP Gravel. But there's going to be a big announcement early in December. A deputy sheriff recently announced at a Sun City Republican meeting that she was going to run for JP3. Same game played by another candidate in 2016. In May 2016, there was a big fundraiser held for Bill at a gated community sponsored by Wilco's Richest. In that long list of supporters on the invitation was one person, Betty Slater. Well, her and her friends attack opposition during campaigns. My law enforcement credentials were attacked in 2016. More than 20 years ago, I led a startup team of BEA that brought down the biggest drug operation in the world. Before that, I was commanded a USNR NCIS unit out of Houston. Is there anyone here that wants to tell an NCIS agent that's not part of law enforcement?
Go your time.
The words one may say may have some fact and truth. It's the truth that does not say
Bill, you need to
that
write
makes
that in.
one a liar.
Thank you, sir. All right, that's all I have signed up. Is there anybody else? Try to get organized here. At 9:42, I declare this meeting of Commissioners Court duly open for the transaction of business on this 24th day of October, 2017.
Last week, I failed to talk to Wilco commissioners about the problem with the needless construction and housing boom. Left off saying, I went to war, didn't know the meaning of a green zone unless I was entering or leaving theater. All this useless construction and housing is far more stressful to me. Continuing, Commissioner Covey was kind enough to ask her assistant to hear me out further. She did, but regrettably, I still failed to do what I wanted to do. Talked about how every farm paved over is only handing companies like Monsanto the power to do as they wish to the food sold. I mean, we better get used to GMOs. Once they control most or all foodstuff production, no one will have a choice. Eat what's available or go without is going to be the options. That's exactly what is happening when farms are paved over. I was told this is Texas. What people want to do with their land is on them. Wilco commissioners can't do anything about it. Regardless, it's like buying a Chick-fil-A. It may cost a little to no money to the city, county, but will in the long run cost more. Roads and lights have to be put in or widened. Told the county only has so much money to buy land. Okay. Told needless roads such as Ronald Reagan were on a bond. Right. Such things as bonds are great, except for a bond is nothing more than a loan. And to combat the cost, more is built. Just far as I can tell, it's throwing good money after bad. That leads to more debt. Take the construction project covered last week and went over budget, but more money was added. That's a failed project already. Wouldn't need it in the first place if the other needless construction wasn't done. Would anyone let a stranger into their home and dictate their actions? That's exactly what's happening with those moving in. They don't care about our way of life, land, or economy. Let me pontificate a little bit. Most seem to be coming from New York and California. Once enough move in, Does anyone think for a second they won't vote for those who think as they do? They for the most part, screwed up their... No.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good one.
Will do. Thank you.
And I've been in Williamson County since 1979. And I got my education in Texas. It's a great place to get an education. I did my master's in engineering at SMU, another good school to consider. Last week we talked about this hospital fund, and fortunately we'll have more than 3 minutes since we're going to have a open meeting later on. But to kind of get things started, I put this graphic together, and if you'll see up in the upper right corner, I illustrated the taxpayer. Some of the comments were made about what it was going to cost and where money was coming from, and during all that, we'll have more of that discussion later this morning. One of the comments was that it wasn't going to increase property taxes, but what is the real impact? Since Valerie's a CPA, she thoroughly understands anytime you are looking at your balance sheets and whatnot, when you have a credit somewhere and somebody gets paid something, somewhere else on that balance sheet is a debit. So when you see the hospital getting money, where does that money come from, those matching funds? It comes to that poor little taxpayer up there through a different set of a massive spaghetti connections, through debt, taxes, and everything, because the government runs on tax revenue. Without the tax revenue, things don't get paid. So if we're going to add matching funds, take 6% from the net proceeds of the insurance, and they're matched by some other funds, where's that money come from? Well, it comes from that little taxpayer guy. It may not go through property taxes, it may not go through any kind of tax collection in the county, but it comes from a myriad of other sources. Unbelievable, the locations and whatnot. Health insurance, I got my property tax bill this past week. My health insurance premium is double my property tax. The insurance business is really out of control. Our insurance commission here in Texas has a lot of problems. But what's interesting, I live debt-free. I don't have any mortgages or payments of any kind. I graduated from college with debt, but I don't have any debt now. But what's really frightening is this $20 trillion debt that's out there. You guys get to pay that debt. I won't be paying it. The decisions made in Commissioner's Court, the legislature, Congress, they're the ones that are deciding your future. So if you get into law, it's important that you make sure that the people that are representing you keep in mind they're your grandchildren. I ran for sheriff, and the person asked me, he said, why are you running for sheriff? And I said, for my grandchildren, to ensure that they have a future, your future. It's very important. So when our Commissioner's Court makes a decision today, it's something you'll be paying for.
Thank you, sir. 9:41, I declare this meeting of Commissioners Court open for the transaction of business on this 31st day of October 2017.
Trees older than our nation are being chopped down for no reason. Needless construction and housing being filled by those whom do not care about our land or way of life. Farms being paved over. Realtor and contractors allowed to claim care of land, yet destroy it with zero hesitation. Where do you think food comes from? Almost 100% starts on farms. Every farm paved gives companies like Monsanto ground. When they control most or all food production, they'll do what they want, including setting prices. Don't like it too bad. Eat what's available or starve. You build it, they will come. Stands to reason. Don't and they won't. No different than allowing a stranger in your house, letting them dictate actions. Seems well and good for me to defend your ways of life, but when it comes to protect mine, I'm treated as a fool. Attempted to talk to Wilco commissioners and failed. Told it's a matter of money, long as it doesn't cost taxpayers. Destroying land is okay. I find folly in this. Roads need to be widened and maintained. EMS and police already undermanned. I know what can happen in 1 second. Imagine what may occur in 20 minutes. More people, the longer response time. Was informed some construction is done on bond. Instant debt. Now Wilco is in $1 billion debt. Look at San Mateo and LA County. Too late do they realize building more solves nothing. China is building a world wonder to solve population problems. Why do we have to repeat their mistake? Rock trucks drive as they wish. Imagine a neighborhood put on those roads. Think they'll watch out for kids? Animals have to go somewhere. No one enjoys dodging deer or dealing with snakes. The 97 tornado may have been a freak storm. A tornado half its size will now do far more damage. As of this year, we have to worry about hurricanes. If we end up like California or Florida, the only way to escape will be on foot due to clogged roads. Pavement does not absorb 4+ feet of water. Additional housing only serves to put more in dangerous path. This construction pandemic appears to be an addiction, as if trees and grass are offensive. Long as construction and housing is non-issue, despite the debt and wasted tax money used in the eradication of farm and nature. Long as their Georgetown addresses, they'll eventually become Georgetown. Like a cancer doesn't show symptoms till it's too late. No one wants to breathe smog. Less farms, regardless of location, affect food prices. More people, the bigger schools have to be, leading to more debt. Already, Wilco schools are unable to give special needs kids care they deserve. I say again, if this is a money issue, I know how to put money in the given coffer. A new way to suppress fires. California reached $3 billion in damages alone. Take a guess what it's worth to prevent such a thing. Won't do it on my own. With the help of the city, county, or state, certain things will then be a product of the location. A win-win. Inadequate farm and land and ag doomed some of the greatest civilizations. We are in fact repeating history, all because those in power failed to act accordingly. Done.
12 seconds left. You did well. Thank you, sir.
All right, no,
Mr. Jim Dillon.
I showed this last week when we had time for a lot more public discussion. This week it's all been eliminated, but Friday's meeting with the hospitals and lawyers and all the other crew basically confirmed what I had originally put on this with the money that comes through this process that the Williamson County wants to tax the hospitals. It goes back into this quagmire of government bureaucracy and multiplies itself through grants and then comes back to the hospitals in a higher amount than what they actually paid out, so that if they pay 6%, they're going to get some substantial amount more back in here. So Friday's meeting, where there was no public input, at least confirmed that information. These grants are dead on our future's grandchildren's financial status because we are still running at a deficit. With no public input on Friday, I was looking at item 24 on this agenda today, and it looks like it's all been scheduled to and structured to shut down any more citizens' input, although all of the people who are going to benefit from this, the hospitals and lawyers, get to talk as long as they want. I'm looking at the future of our grandchildren. One of the things I did back in 1984 when I was the software acquisition manager in the personal computer ramp-up days of all this technology, one of the big battles I had, and I think was the biggest success of my time there, I got with our corporate lawyers to fight with IBM and Microsoft on the end user agreement because they wanted to make it a very hostile agreement. And I said, no, we have to look at our people's future, their rights, their liberties. And we won that battle so that you all have an end user license, and these apps that you call, that's just application software. It's stuff that I wrote many years ago, but the thing is, the license that allows you to have your liberties, I fought for our future generations. But what I see here now is a problem where we're going to burden our grandchildren with all kinds of more debt from this grant money. And it looks like item 24 has already just been locked in with no further citizen input. I have a problem with this. It's called integrity and moral turpitude. It just doesn't seem like our society really has any more of it. The lawyers, the hospitals, everyone else is chasing the high almighty dollar, doesn't care the impact on what it's going to have on future generations. It's really unfortunate we're selling them out for 30 pieces of silver.
Thank you, sir. All right, is there anyone else that would like to address the court? Seeing none, then we'll move on to, Rebecca, we'll get that up a little wider. We'll move